All righty. Any questions or anything other than what we've been talking about? Anything? Well, we kind of, done started talking about, of course, like I said, heart problems causing believers to become bound and captive. And kind of the opening paragraph I put in this is, the Lord has been showing us how today's believers are losing out on their inheritance in this life because of heart problems. Believers is receiving wounds to the heart over things that should not happen if they had the spiritual wisdom needed to protect their precious hearts. Once the believer receives so many wounds and scars, they become bound and captive by Satan. Satan's plan is to put the believer into captivity or bondage so they will not do for God. Satan accomplishes captivity by wounding the believer's heart. He wounds the heart because the believer does not understand how to protect the heart. Most believers do not understand they need to grow or how to grow in wisdom. Once so many scars happen to a believer, they pull back and try to protect what heart they have remaining, is what we have as our opening paragraph tonight. And I think that as we all have to agree, and we look in our own lives, the scars that's happened in our lives and situations that's happened in our life, and we can even see today where people will even pull back when they get hurt. And it don't even have to be truth. And as as I've said many times, there's a lot of scars and a lot of wounds that have no truth to them. It is Satan that's convincing people of things that has no truth to them. And it'll cause a wound to the heart. That's where he's going after. That's the attacks that he's going after, is the heart. He'll begin to convince people that they don't love them or they don't care or anything. And before you know it, we're wounded, we're scarred, and we're pulling back. And that's what we want to look at, that this is causing believers to become bound and captive. This is what it's causing. This is the situations. Our opening scriptures that we're using, and it's actually found in a couple of places, but the one that we want to start with is Psalm 68, verse 18 through 19. It says, Thou hast ascended on high. Thou hast led captivity captive. Thou hast received gifts for men, yea, for the rebellious also. For the Lord God mighty dwell among them. Blessed be the Lord, who daily loadeth us with benefits, even the God of our salvation. And as he says, he has led captivity captive. He has caught it and bound it. He's bound the captive part down if we'll let it. And he has allowed that so that the enemy can't captivate us if we know what we're doing. And that's what we've been talking about. When Jesus left, that was one of the things that he stressed highly. I have put captivity, I've took captive, and I've bound it. I've closed it to where it can't get to my believers unless, like we said, the reason that believers are getting captive, the reason that they're getting down, the reason that they're getting destroyed was that because they're not understanding how to protect the heart. They're not understanding the situations that's happening. They just don't have the knowledge that, like we was talking earlier, like Paul had. And like I said, we want to count them as special people. But it was simply put that they had the spiritual knowledge it was needed. They had the spiritual understanding to be able to look at the people that was beating them or against them and look at them for what they really, really are. And they would not let it get to their heart. They would not cause them to pull back, but they would keep pushing forward wanting to do the will of God. And that's what we got to understand, that today people are captive. They are bound. Whether they want to admit it or not, if they have got scars in heart, if they've got wounds that's keeping them from moving forward, what else can you call it? They're captive. They're captivated by the enemy. And that's the enemy. What his intent is to, as you say, is capture the believer to where he'll be held down, where he'll be bound down and can't be free. Christ said that I come that they can be free and they can be set free, and who the Son has set free is free indeed. He come that we can have life, but the enemy's come to captivate. He's come to bind down. He's come to stop. So how does he do it? Getting to the heart. Wounding the heart. Wounding the people with the situations that happen in their life. The lack of understanding is what's causing this. It's what's destroying people. And it's what's bringing them down. Anyone agree, disagree, yes, no, maybe, before we go on? That's, yeah. I really believe that that's what the Lord is showing. That this is truly what He has warned us about, but we didn't understand it. Our lack of knowledge of spiritual understanding, and really understanding that, because I'm sure we've all argued with people before, but our war wasn't with that person. If we'd have had enough spiritual understanding to realize it wasn't with that person, but with Satan, we would have never argued with them. But that argument led into more hurt, led into more hurtful words, it led into more scars, it led into more wounds, it led into deeper wounds, and leads into us getting captivated by the enemy. And there's some serious wounds. But now there's some wounds that in time I guess I'll get to study that, like loss of loved ones. What can you do about that? Well, the one, of course, is if you know that they're saved, he says, then we should be able to rejoice. Well, we're going to have a lot of spiritual knowledge and understanding to be able to rejoice when our loved ones lay in the casket, if we know they went to heaven. We're going to have to really be in a place of maturity to be able to stand up before God and say, man, I'm thankful they're out of this mess, and be able to not let it scar our heart, not let it hurt us. And especially, like when we went up to the funeral home and there's a family that's got their own child laying there. How can you keep from them, getting scarred? Well, like I said, if we don't start growing in understanding and growing in the things of God, it's going to be scars. It's going to knock us back. Because I remember Daniel Houchins, I don't know if you know him, he lost his son some couple of years ago. And I think maybe now his wife might have started going back to church, but she's been some 2 years. She's blaming God, for her son's loss, for losing her son, and got upset at God over her son and just wouldn't go to church. And she's a pastor's wife. She was just plumb mad and plumb aggravated. And I don't know. I don't know how, and I hope I never have to know, and I hope nobody else will never have to know. But there's still going to be losses, and there's still going to be things. But these scars, and the fact of, like we said, the majority of the scars that people receiving today are really minute, and a lot of times are no truth to it. A lot of times they're really silly. They're really just crazy things that people allow to get them upset over and get them scarred and let the enemy in and let him wound their heart.
I think that our hearts get wounded, and I think we grieve and we get battle scars in every situation in our life. But there has to be a point that we let God take those things, and He's the only one that can heal it.
Sure.
I know even with Jerry dying, well, I could take that back today if I wanted it.
Sure.
It's not that, that you can just take anything back. I could take that hurt, I could sit down long enough.
Just sit and cry and be depressed.
But